Hello and welcome to Area Fire in Starfinder 2nd Edition. Although the majority of rules in Starfinder should be familiar territory for Pathfinder players, one weapon trait that's found far more frequently in the science fantasy setting of Starfinder is area. So in this video we're going to look at area fire weapons, and in an upcoming video we'll expand this by tackling auto fire weapons. Weapons with the area trait are designed to fire not a single shot, but instead several over an area. Common real-world examples might be shotguns or flamethrowers, but in Starfinder this list could include lightning-charged arc emitters, mini-missile spewing stellar cannons, and weaponized rock and roll from singing coils. There are a couple things to be aware of when using a weapon that has the area trait. First, unless you have some special ability that says otherwise, which we'll talk about in a bit, these weapons may only make area attacks. When you pull the trigger, it's going to spray an area and potentially harm everything in that area. Second, each weapon's area trait describes in parentheses what kind of area effect it is. For example, arc emitters have the area cone trait, meaning they can only make cone-shaped attacks. Singing coils can only make line area attacks, and stellar cannons can only make 10-foot burst area attacks. When you attack with an area weapon, it targets all creatures, friend or foe alike, within the designated area. For cone and line attacks, the size of the area is equal to one range increment of the weapon. So arc emitters make 20-foot cone attacks, and singing coils make 40-foot line attacks. For burst area weapons, you can choose any intersection within the weapon's first range increment. For example, stellar cannons create a 10-foot burst area and have a range of 50 feet. So you could choose any intersection of squares within 50 feet to be the center point of the burst, and everything within 10 feet of that point would be subject to the attack. When making an area fire attack, you do not roll an attack roll as you would with usual strikes. Instead, everyone within the targeted area must roll a basic reflex save against your class DC plus any bonuses from the weapon's tracking trait. As mentioned before, area weapons can only fire by using the area fire action. This means the action you use to make attacks with area weapons is not strike, but instead is the area fire action. This is very important because it means any action or ability that calls for a strike cannot be used with an area weapon unless that ability specifically grants strikes with the area weapon. For example, a scattergun can't be used with killsteal or peek because those feats both say to make a ranged strike, which you cannot do with an area weapon because they can only be fired using the area fire action. However, there are a few instances where you in fact could make strikes with an area weapon, and those are abilities that specifically say you can. For example, soldiers have a class feature called Primary Target. This allows them to designate one creature closest to the point of origin for the area attack as their primary target, and make a strike against them as part of making an area attack. And note that this does not mean that you can use area weapons to make any strikes you want against primary targets. For example, this doesn't grant the means to use killsteal or peek with area weapons, assuming the character was multi-class, soldier, and operative. It only grants a strike in the specific situation outlined in the primary target class feature. So remember, in Starfinder, specific rules trump general rules. The general rule here is you can only fire area weapons using the area fire action, but specific rules, like primary target, override that as detailed in their text. Let's look at an example. Navasi is armed with a tactical scattergun which has the area cone trait, and she's being attacked by a group of space goblins. Scatterguns have a range of 15 feet, meaning it attacks an area shaped like this or like this. Meaning if she wanted to attack this group, it would require her friend Isef to roll a basic reflex save to avoid damage also. She can't exclude him from the attack, nor could she choose to make a single target strike to avoid harming him. And if she did decide to make this attack even with her friend in the area, Isef would not gain any benefits of lesser cover for being behind a goblin, because lesser cover does not provide a bonus to reflex saves. So we'll say she instead decides to attack these goblins. This is not a strike, so she does not make an attack roll. Instead, each of these goblins must roll basic reflex saves against Navasi's class DC. Class DC is calculated as 10 plus proficiency bonus plus key attribute modifier. She's second level and is trained in her class, so her class DC is 10 plus 4 for proficiency, plus 4 for her charisma modifier, for a total class DC of 18. And then for this attack, we add another +1 because she is using a tactical grade scattergun, which has a +1 tracking trait. So each goblin within the area must roll a basic reflex save versus DC 19. Those goblins that roll a total of 29 or higher get critical successes and suffer no damage. Those who roll results of 19 through 28 get normal successes and suffer half damage. Those goblins who roll results of 10 through 18 fail the check and suffer full damage, and those who roll results lower than 10 critically fail the check and suffer double damage. Navasi only rolls her damage once. In this case, scatterguns deal 1d8 piercing damage and she rolls a 5. Those who succeeded the save suffer 2 damage, those who failed suffer 5 damage, and those who critically failed the check suffer 10 damage. If any of that feels unfamiliar or especially cumbersome, don't worry, just check out my Pathfinder videos on degrees of success, basic saves, and class DCs. Although they were written for Pathfinder, the rules work exactly the same for Starfinder. So that's it for area attacks. I'll be following this up with another video on auto fire, so keep a lookout for that, and drop a comment below sharing your favorite area fire weapon. If you found this video helpful, please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks to everyone who supports this channel. Take care and happy gaming.